1973 and came into effect on July 10, 1973. Whereas, 481 years ago, the rediscovery of this family of islands, rocks and keys, heralded the rebirth of the New World. And whereas the people of this family of islands, recognizing that the preservation of their freedom will be guaranteed by a national commitment to self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity, and an abiding respect for Christian values and the rule of law. Now know ye therefore, we the inheritors of and successors to this family of islands, recognizing the supremacy of God and believing in the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, do hereby proclaim in solemn praise the establishment of a free and democratic sovereign nation founded on spiritual values and in which no man, woman, or child shall ever be slave or bondsman to anyone, or their labor exploited, or their lives frustrated by deprivation, and do hereby provide by these articles for the indivisible unity and creation under God of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Well, it's Monday. Welcome to the morning edition. I'm Lloyd Allen. The clock's returned back and you are up bright and early with us after getting that extra hour of sleep. We're so happy you've joined us. We have quite an exciting morning coming up for you. But first, let's get you started with your weather outlook with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean.
This weather report is sponsored by Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions.
Our first look at weather, we're going to get you started with a look at our ZNS Tower camera. We're showing some patchy clouds overlooking the Paradise Island area there, and then going to our satellite picture. High pressure remains in control of our weather, but we have that stall-out frontal boundary just over the extreme northern Bahamas, and that will provide some cloud covers, particularly in the area of Grand Bahama and the Abacos. And outside of our studios, we're under partly cloudy skies. Your temperature is 75 degrees. Relative humidity, 83%. The winds are near calm. They're out of the north at 2 miles per hour. The barometric pressure, 1,016.7 millibars. That's 30.02 inches, and the pressure is rising. Temperatures around the islands this morning, we're picking up 72 degrees in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, Green Toll Key 72. 72 also in Freeport, that's Grand Bahama. Green Toll Key a little warmer, that's just on the backside of that frontal system. 80 degrees, 80 in Allenstown, Bimini. 79 in Harbor Island, Roxanne, Eleuthera 78, 77 in Allenstown, Cat Island. Staniel Key 79, also Kemps Bay and Fresh Creek in Central Andros at 79 degrees. And we pick up some 77s in San Salvador, Rim Key, Georgetown, Exuma at 80 degrees. As we take you a little further south into Ragged Island, 79 there, Clarence Town, Long Island, Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Acklands, Matchetown, Niagara, all at 79 degrees, 80 degrees in the Turks and Caicos Island. And just in case you're traveling this morning, here are some high and low temperatures for cities of some of your favorite cities. Forecast, but it's now time for your boating forecast. Easterly winds in the northwest Bahamas at 10 to 15 knots. Wave heights, they're going to be around 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Low tide at 6:09 this morning. High tide will take place at 12:33 in the afternoon. For the central and southeastern islands, easterly flow 12 to 18 knots. Wave heights 3 to 6 feet. Caution flags in place for boaters both in the central and southeastern Bahamas. That's going to do it for your first look at weather. Stay tuned, more weather is still to come.
Well, it's a great start to your Monday morning, and on the outside, we've got our Kelsey Johnson, who's on the street, giving you a look at traffic as it begins. Kelsey, what can you tell us?
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
How far are we long? Because the next bus coming. Good morning, Lloyd. Good morning, Bahamas. You're looking at a beautiful shot of Lake Cunningham. We're here on John F. Kennedy Drive, where the traffic is flowing northbound. I can tell you that the time did change yesterday morning, so motorists, they wanted to get out early. For those who didn't make it out early this morning, we have a little traffic back up here on John F. Kennedy Drive and Gladstone Road on the northbound lane. Now, joining me live this morning is Sergeant Jerome Thompson. Now, the police has been busy all weekend, especially with the new traffic amendments. Can you tell us what was happening this weekend?
Good morning to you. Good morning, Bahamas. Over the last 24-hour weekend period, 48 hours, we had a total of 35 accidents. 9 of those involve accidents with injuries. And yes, we have been busy with the amount of crashes that we've been having. And the new laws, I just want to clear up a misconception about the new laws. The new laws are not to, the government didn't put that out to make persons pay money to carry out their agenda. The new laws are designed to improve the quality of life for people, okay? For too long, we've been having persons driving with open beverages, driving drunk. Persons driving without a driver's license, without insurance, have given us stories, and persons are affected by it. These persons are crashing into persons, causing serious injuries, sometimes death. These hit-and-run accidents, that's something I would like to see become a felony one day before I leave this Royal Bahamas Police Force. I like to see that become a felony because we are having too many hit-and-run accidents.
And what about the left turn? I know a number of persons are still stopping, waiting on the light to change. And when do we go, and when do we have the clear to go?
Once the way is clear and you're at the front of the line, it is easy. Just make the left turn. It helps with the traffic flow. So we just need persons to not to be timid and to make that left turn with confidence. Once the way is clear, just make the left turn.
All right, thank you so much, Sergeant Thompson. Lloyd, like I said, that was a beautiful shot of Lake Cunningham, but we're going to have to dash because they have so much more in the morning edition, so back to you in the studio.
Taking a look at newest developments across the country, government plans to advance its cleanup program and debris management plan for Abaco and Grand Bahama. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, announced during a press conference on Sunday that the Ministry of Housing and the Environment has formulated a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations Development Program.
Under the MOU, the UNDP will assist with monitoring, evaluation, and technical assistance, including providing guidance to the Department of Environmental Health and the Department of Public Works contractors to enhance debris removal or disposal. Advice on the prevention of debris burning, accumulation of stagnant water, and proliferation of disease vectors. Support for debris clearance and barge export from the Keys, and advice on recycling and garbage sorting, storage site, and management strategies.
And the Prime Minister also indicated that a barge is headed to Green Turtle Key to remove some debris and other garbage from Hurricane Dorian.
Residents have had to burn garbage for years due to the lack of a proper disposal system. The plan is to put in place a permanent system to relieve this problem so that garbage is collected regularly from the quay and then transferred to a laydown site on the mainland, as is currently done on neighboring quays. It is estimated that power will be restored to Green Turtle Key and Elbow Key by the end of this month.
New developments could be unfolding today in the dispute involving those public school teachers whose salaries were cut by the Ministry of Education. Union President Belinda Wilson confirmed that union officials will be heading to court today to fight that decision relating to those teachers who sat out of class due to health and safety concerns. Education officials said the teachers did not comply with the grievance procedure as outlined in the industrial agreement. And promotions on tap for prison officers. Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames, applauded Department of Correctional Services employees for their hard work, which he maintains is not going unnoticed. Speaking at the department's annual service on Sunday, Mr. Dames announced that they are working on promotions at various levels. He said a list will be released soon, but only those giving quality service will be recognized. And concerned about the economic outlook of the country, well, an updated report on exactly how the economy is faring post-Hurricane Dorian is expected to be revealed today. The governor of the central bank, Mr. John Roll, will share the bank's economic position at a news conference later today. Meantime, is business booming or not in downtown Nassau, especially on a Sunday? Some vendors telling us it is a regular day, but it simply depends on the cruise ship passengers in town. In terms of the Newport development, business operators feel it's a good move, and many of them are looking forward to more cruise ships and passengers coming in and supporting their businesses. Well, the Rosewood property at Baha Mar continues to make a name for itself and has been recognized among the top 25 resorts in the Atlantic by Condé Nast Travelers Reader's Choice Awards for 2019. However, General Manager Luigi Romaniello is hoping to attract more locals to the resort.
We're also very community friendly at Rosewood, and sometimes you look at a luxury hotel and you feel like it's very difficult to get in, or we can be a little standoffish. But we think differently. We actually feel that we love to have our guests, from the local community come in and try our hotel. We have some really wonderful culinary experiences.
And straight ahead, our new educational segment zeroes in on Catholic education and its impact in the country and spreading the word of Poppy message in public schools. You're watching The Morning Edition.
For the latest news and highlights in Bahamian culture, tune in to the new Junkadoo 242, Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on the ZNS Radio and Television Network. Radio Bahamas 1540 a.m. on 104.5 FM and TV 13. Each week, host Arlene Nash Ferguson and Darren Bastian engages listeners with some of the movers and shakers of Junkadoo and Bahamian culture. Don't miss Junkadoo 242, Saturday at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on the ZNS Radio and Television Network.
Welcome, Miss Dynamite Dizzy.
Hey, everybody. I'm here because the Ministry of Education, they have decided to help our children, So your child may have a box of erasers. Tell them to share with some children from Grand Bahama and Albuquerque.
School supplies can be dropped off at any government school in New Providence or the Family Islands.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best-kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
Hey, long time no see. You hear me?
Long time no see.
Boiled fish, stew conch. I love it all.
Tourists come here to take our tours, experience our sun, sand, and sea, and they also spend money around town.
I used to see a bunch of hogfish around here, but nowadays, I hardly see any.
You protect one area, the fish do their thing, make a bunch of babies, that spread all over the sea. What's the problem?
If we protect certain parts of our sea, it keeps all parts working right.
I was against that phase, but knowing what I know now, I totally agree with having marine protected areas.
I support marine protected areas.
We support marine protected areas.
Look for Bahamas Protected on Facebook.
Sign the petition. Sign the petition.
When a hurricane strikes, there are many critical needs to survival. Water is one of them. Access to clean water to drink, bathe, and wash things is often hard to come by, particularly in remote areas. While it's tempting to use whatever water is available, there are a few things that you should do to make sure that your drinking water is safe to consume or use. Boiling your water is one of them. Boiling water kills most pathogens that can be harmful. If your water is cloudy, filter it through a clean cloth or portable filter. You should boil filtered water for 1 minute, cool, and then store in a clean container with a lid. If boiling your water is not an option, you can disinfect it with bleach. Use 1/8 teaspoon or 8 drops per gallon, then let it stand for 30 minutes. Remember, this water should be stored in a clean container with a lid. Ensuring the highest level of food, animal, and plant safety in the Bahamas. This message is brought to you by the Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Authority and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Welcome back. Today is a special one for Catholic education in the Bahamas. The Catholic Board is celebrating Founders Day, commemorating 130-year anniversary, providing education to Bahamian society. Over the years, the school has witnessed numerous changes, and Director Claudette Roll explains how the day will be observed.
We have concurrent assemblies going on in all of our schools with the exception of St. Francis and Joseph. That assembly will be held on Tuesday, and the assembly will basically be where we highlight, schools have chosen to do a dramatic piece on From Whence We Came, and so they will be reenacting the first group of Sisters of Charity who came into the school and how the school started with 15 students, and then by the end of the week it doubled, and so it'll basically be a reenactment of what happened when the first school started.
Depicting the start of the first school will allow the students to demonstrate their skills and knowledge of Catholic education. Director Rule also reflects on how Catholic education has helped to change and propel the growth of the nation.
We have, over the last 130 years, we have had a significant impact in the educational system in the Bahamas. We have thousands of alumni, and our alumni are in so many different places, so many different countries, and we have made a significant contribution to the educational system in the Bahamas, both from an academic perspective as well as a social perspective.
Moving ahead, Roll explains the school's vision for the future.
We want to continue our quest to be academically sound, but apart from being academically sound, it's also important for us to be socially sound and of service to humanity. There's no point in educating someone who is not going to serve their communities, their countries, and the world. And that's the purpose of education, to help us to help others.
Hurricane Dorian has also impacted the Catholic schools, forcing adjustments in Catholic education.
We now have, unfortunately with the hurricane, we have 2 schools that are inactive. The 2 schools in Abaco are inactive. But right now, without those 2 schools, we still have 7 schools that are operating. And we have a student enrollment of about 3,300 students. And we have pre-K through 12th grade in 2 of our schools, and the others are primary and secondary schools. that we are still very proud of Catholic education. We always say that we're Christ-centered and character-driven. And I want to put a little plug in here for our students who came from Abaco. You know, we're hosting 200 students from Abaco in our schools in New Providence. And so we're happy that they have transitioned well, and that's what we're about. We're about making sure that we can take care of those who are most vulnerable at any point in their lives.
Well, students in the public school system are learning about the veterans who sacrificed in World War II. This week, an educational program is being launched on poppies. And today I'm wearing my poppy. In fact, the British Legion's branch school tour kicks off in just a few hours with special poppy assemblies. In studio with us this morning to tell us more about this plan is chairperson and treasurer of the Bahamas British Legion, Miss Adina Munro-Charlo. Welcome to the Morning Edition.
Good morning.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. So tell us why the school campaign?
Well, this year the school campaign is very important as we begin to look at the legacy. My father was a World War II veteran, and we lost 10 of them in 2017.
Wow.
And we now only have 7 left. And because of that, it's time for legacy to be preserved. So we decided to meet with the Ministry of Education, and the director had given us the authorization to start the school campaign. So this morning at 9:30 a.m., we will be at T.A. Thompson Junior High School. And on Wednesday, we will be at Yellow Elder Primary School. And then on Friday the 9th, we will be at Uriah McPhee Primary School.
Well, that's amazing, amazing schools there. Are those the only schools you'll be visiting?
Well, this year, every year we will be adding to the list until we get all of the schools. And then we would try to get into the Family Islands as well.
Well, I hope you get to my alma mater, S.M. McPherson. But continuing, how critical is it for students to learn and be aware of this part of our history?
It is very important because you have this history being lost. We do have an exhibition, an open-air exhibition, currently in Rawson Square for the next 28 days. And this year we concentrated on our World War II pilots that flew over Normandy, France, 75 years ago. And then around the bust of Sir Butler, we also have our World War I heroes that existed 100 years ago.
Wow.
We have the first 30 that set sail in September of 1915 around the bust of Sir Butler, and the late Sir Eddie Dupuche, who was deemed the most decorated World War I hero in the Caribbean.
Wow.
So these are things that they're not taught in the schools, and the students just don't know. So it is the responsibility of the British Legion Bahamas branch to ensure that it happens beginning this year.
And I think that speaks to a rich history here in the Bahamas, but I understand this year you've also involved students in your activities. Tell me about that.
Well, on Friday, the 1st of November, we had our largest event for this year. And we were able to invite over 125 students representing R.M. Bailey Senior High School. And then we also had T.G. Glover School. And so we were able to have those children come out and witness the actual military rites, last rites by the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And it was really, you had to be in there to enjoy it. And so every year, the British Legion Bahamas branch is doing something different, bigger, until we get the organization back to its heyday.
I want to say, hats off to you, because I remember those heydays in high school for myself, wearing the poppy and not even knowing what it was all about.
Yes.
So it's great to know that the information is being shared.
Yes.
I also understand over the weekend you had some activities. We'll talk more about that, but thank you so much for speaking with us. We'll take a quick break. At this time, on the other side, there's more news. You're listening to The Morning Edition.
Well, what about me?
What about you, what?
Well, I thirsty too, you know.
You want to see all the water out there?
Well, why you don't give me your water, and then you go try and drink that salt water?
You crazy, eh?
I ain't the one talking to a dog, you know.
Ain't nobody can drink salt water.
Then why you won't give it to me? All dogs need fresh, cool water and sufficient shelter from the sun all year round, especially on the beach and during the hot summer months.
Summers are very hot here in the Bahamas, so please make sure all pets have ample, cool, fresh water in proper containers and sufficient shelter from the sun, even on the beach. And make sure all dog houses and kennels have proper ventilation. Let's make it Bahamian to be humane.
This message has been brought to you by the Bahamas Humane Society and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
ZNS is everywhere you are when you download the new ZNS app. Watch our live channel to keep up with what's going on in the nation. News updates, we've got you covered. Tune into our radio stations with just a swipe. On the road, on the go, we're here with you. Available for download on the App Store and the Google Play Store.
Hey Bahamas, what's up? Are you proud of the decisions that our young people are making in our country today? Well, I want to introduce you to an organization where young people are making positive contributions, Youth Against Violence. I am a proud product of Youth Against Violence. Over the past years, Youth Against Violence has played a pivotal role in my success thus far. I want to throw a challenge out to you to help us and to support us to be able to help and support other young people like myself who are making positive contributions to our country. Help us to continue to bring peace to our streets by influencing this generation to influence future generations in a positive way. I am a proud product of Youth Against Violence. I am Travis Robinson, and I endorse this message.
Breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the Bahamas and in Bahamian women. At present, we are unable to prevent breast cancer, but performing screening mammograms can detect breast cancer at its earliest when there are no symptoms and when it is more likely to be treated successfully. All women should have a primary health care provider who is aware of their medical history, family history, and risk factors. Women 40 to 45 years can choose whether to start screening in consultation with their physician. All women 45 to 54 years should have an annual mammogram. Women older than 55 years can have a yearly mammogram or choose to have one every 2 years. Monthly breast self-exams in conjunction with the mammogram can increase the odds of early detection. Be proactive about your health.
Hepatitis is the inflammation of the liver, which is the organ responsible for filtering toxins from the body, producing bile for digestion, and producing proteins and clotting factors. The most important cause of hepatitis worldwide is viruses, of which there are 5 main types: A, B, C, D, and E. Hepatitis B and C are major health challenges globally, affecting over 300 million persons worldwide. The suspicion of hepatitis may be a challenge as there are typically no symptoms. However, if infected, non-specific symptoms may include decreased appetite, nausea, vague abdominal discomfort, jaundice or yellow eyes, and abnormal liver function tests. If not treated, hepatitis of any type can lead to cirrhosis and liver cancer, which leads to over 1 million deaths worldwide. If you suspect you may have been exposed to the virus that causes hepatitis, talk to your doctor today and get tested.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Public Hospitals Authority in conjunction with the Medical Association of the Bahamas and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
And of course, welcome back. The archiving of books is essential to helping to preserve our history. The late Pastor Myles Munroe, for example, has been described as one of the greatest religious leaders of our time. Pastor Munroe, who has also made quite a global impact, died on November 9th, 2014 in a plane crash along with his wife, Ruth, and 8 others. 5 years later, a book has been released in his memory, written by media professional, Agatha Christie. She joins us in studio this morning. Welcome to the Morning Edition, and share with us the book that you've written about Mr. Munroe.
Yes, good morning.
So what is this book all about?
Well, it's about, like you said, reading the script is about Dr. Munroe. I've been with him for about 30 years prior to his demise, and I worked closely with him, especially in broadcast media. I was responsible for all of his media work. I run the media department, all the TV shows, international and locally. So, and I worked close with him. So when he passed away, tragically, I was told, you were so close to him, you should document everything in a book, because every time I went somewhere, locally or internationally, and I started talking about our history together and our walk and the things that we did, and especially in media, it was like, you need to document it. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. And then along with that, I said, you know what, I'll combine what I know and connect with those persons who were close to him, who really knew him, who were his family members, his mentees, and his close friends.
Now, this book is called Behind the Scenes with Dr. Myles E. Munroe. And of course, I met Mr. Munroe several times. And one of those things that I vividly recall from him, he's used this word significantly, purpose. I'm sure you've mentioned it here.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Purpose is one of the reasons I wrote the book also, because in coming in connection with him after following him at the church that I attend, he was one of the person that guided me and helped me in finding my purpose and my potential in broadcast media. So he was, I don't even know, Pastor Myles was different. He was unique. He was not just a pastor. He was not just a businessman. He was everything that you needed him to be. And his leadership capabilities was one of the how could I describe it? He was unique. He was different from a regular leader. He led by example. His private life was the same in public. He was the same person from when he was a little boy in interviewing and talking with his siblings and his close friends. Everybody had the same story. Talk about the same person. He was the same person you saw on the pulpit. You saw behind the scenes at home. He was the same person as a husband. He was the same person as a father, a mentor, a pastor.
Now, I haven't told my producers this, but Myles Munroe is actually one of my mentors. And one of those stories that I vividly recall that he told was the fact of when you die on that day, many persons actually take to them a lot of their dreams and their life's goals. And I don't think he was that kind of person. I think he would have accomplished much of what he was created to do.
Yes, yes, because just last day, which was so amazing, because I was a bit upset about the tragic incident, and I was like, why such a great man who has a lot to still offer the world, why did he, died so young, along with the 8 others? And I was like, we still have these buildings to build, because God gave him a great vision for the world, not just for the local country here. And the Lord told me, he was finished. He built people, like thousands and thousands of people everywhere you go around the world. And if you say you're from the Bahamas, oh, do you know Dr. Myles Munroe? Oh, yes, I do. I work closely with him. Oh, man, he's transformed my life. I've written this book, or I've opened this company, or I started this church. It was so much, it's like his legacy, it's like he's still here, like he lives on. Like one of his sisters said, they keep him alive like Elvis Presley.
I remember several years ago, just comparing Dr. Munroe to another great leader. I was in Atlanta a few years ago, and the late Martin Luther King, I read some of his work. If there was one thing that stood out the most to you, what would you say was most significant about your relationship with Dr. Munroe?
Besides dying empty, he always said, your gift, like the scripture says, your gifts will make room for you. No matter where you go in the world in reference to work, if the company was to let you go or you decide to move on, your gift goes with you.
Wow.
That stayed with me.
All right, so some powerful words there. And of course, you must get your copy of Behind the Scenes with Dr. Miles E. Monroe. Where can we find this book?
Oasis Cafe, bookstore at Bahamas Faith Ministries and Logos, and Chapter 1, and definitely on Amazon.
Beautiful, and I hope I get my own copy. All right, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to more from you.
Thank you.
All righty. So vendors from across the Bahamas gathered at the Arawak Key this morning for the 16th Annual Bahama Arts Festival. Over 60 booths showcased the indigenous handsome, or rather handmade products. This morning we share with you the sights and sounds from the Bahama Arts Festival.
We are mobile business, so wherever you are, we come to you. If you're in your office, you're in corporate, residence, Airbnb, we're there for you.
Christmas decorations, wall hangings, straw bags, placemats, magnets. Basically, we try to bring everything, a little of everything, Bahamian, and this is what I have.
Naked Glow. Wow, when you hear the word Naked Glow. Yes, and these are all natural products. We have either soap for eczema, body butter. When you hear body butter, you know what that is. And it keeps your skin moist. See my skin? Okay, that's what I use.
Golden Leaf, which is my #1 seller now, started at the bottom of the pile. It was a slow marathon runners. I've discovered that many of my fellow Bahamians do not like anything green. And in there you have kale, you have spinach, and they literally start to freak out. And so what I would say, come on, man, try it. Just do me a favor, please, and try it. I said, this is my Olympic gold medal concoction. And when I use those words, they're like, okay, let me try it. And they try it, and she shot straight to the top. I also do specialty smoothies for diabetes. I do one for high blood pressure. I do one for cancer. I do one for constipation.
Oh, this is a nice experience. I appreciate it. We met a lot of people that's interested in what we have to sell. I just love the experience. It's great, and I want to do it again next year.
Oh, it's been a wonderful experience. You have so many Bahamian artisans here. You see a lot of handiwork, a lot of persons even that have cancer cures and medicines for diabetes, and you have a lot of skin elements here and a lot of handiwork with the straw. No two artisans look the same, and you could tell everybody's work just by, looking at it. You get a different flavor and feel from each artisan. But it's just been a coming together of artisans and like minds and people that are passionate about what they're doing and what they're developing with their hands.
And coming up, exercise and what it means for your health. We are live with joggers this Monday morning.
This is a test of the Emergency Broadcast System, EBS. The Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, in voluntary cooperation with the government of the Bahamas, has developed this system to keep you informed in the event of an emergency. If this had been an actual national emergency, the attention signal you just heard would have been followed by official information, news, or instructions. This concludes the test of the emergency broadcast system.
Influenza, or the flu as it is commonly called, is a viral illness that usually occurs between the months October to March. The virus is transmitted from person to person through coughing, sneezing, or talking. Symptoms include fever, cough, headache, runny nose, generalized body aches, and fatigue. There is no specific treatment for the flu, and the symptoms usually dissipate after 3 to 7 days. Because it is caused by a virus, antibiotics are not used to treat the flu. Persons are encouraged to rest and drink lots of fluids. Panadol is recommended for fever and body aches associated with the flu. However, aspirin should be avoided due to the risk of bleeding. To decrease the spread of flu, persons are encouraged to get their flu shot annually and practice good cough hygiene. Additional information can be provided by your community clinic or the Health Education Division at the Ministry of Health. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the Public Hospitals Authority.
One of the things with Ill Ability's mission is to empower individuals to live life with limitless possibilities through positive interactions within communities worldwide.
There are many people around the world, able-bodied and differently abled, who have doubts, who lack confidence, who aren't sure what they want to do with their lives, or don't think that they can do what they would like to do, what they dream of doing. And we try to show them that if you have a dream and you stop making excuses for yourself as to why you cannot or should not pursue your dream or your passion, there are no limits to what you can achieve.
Like when someone sees my dance, I want them to see that message that no matter what obstacles they're faced with, they can always find a way to do it their own way.
Welcome back. This is the Morning Edition. We take you out live to Goodman's Bay, where Kelsey Johnson is with the early joggers. Good morning again, Kelsey.
So I don't even know, but I am sure if I had brought my workout gear, Mr. Charles Johnson, he's an expert, guys. I had a big 5-setter game yesterday in volleyball, but Mr. Johnson was here telling me about recovery and the importance of recovery. But before we get to recovery, the importance of working out. How and when should we start?
Kelsey, good morning. Good morning, Bahamas. I think working out should be a lifestyle for everybody. I do a lot of running, and for those of out there who want to get into running, particularly new-time runners, I think it's a great thing. But really, the first thing is to make sure you don't have any pre-existing illness, so you should go and check with your doctor, make sure that you can run. It's my view that if you're healthy, you can run. Everyone can learn how to run. The first thing really is to start slow, start short. If you start on a park like this, you want to run for, say, 200 meters, walk for 200 meters, and you do that for a while, and eventually you start running a little longer and walking shorter distances. And you find that you can begin to improve your running. Secondly, it is very important when you are going to work out generally, but running in particular, you want to warm up. And your warm-up routine really should not be anything extraneous. Light warm-up just to get the muscles in tone, and then you get into your running. The other thing is, people get the view that if you're running, you have to run fast. That's the one thing you don't want to do. When you get into running, you want to start running slowly. And this is even for the more expert, more trained runners. You get into a very slow jog, get your body in tone, your body's going to tell you when it can speed up. So a lot of people make the mistake of getting out there running really quickly, and they become winded and their breathing is off, and then they just start walking and can't get started again. Okay? So another thing for new runners, people believe, well, you have to run 7 days a week. That's the one thing you don't want to do. It's my recommendation that you run, say, 4 days a week. And even in doing so, you kind of vary the distance, you vary the speed. You have, say, a long run, say 5-6 miles for persons who are probably intermediate, and then you cut that in half the next day, and then you like on a Tuesday after a Sunday run, you then do a fast run, maybe a 2-3 mile fast run. And then the next day, a day break in between, you then do maybe 200 meter, 400 meter in intervals. And in doing so, you can kind of get your body in tune to running. The other thing is you should run on different surfaces. Some days you run flat. Some days you can run with a bit of elevation. Some days you can run on the grass or cross-train, to sort of just change your body up. Once your body gets used to a particular movement, you don't get as much benefit from it, So, we have great beaches out here. It's great to just walk, run on the beach at times. Take the Paradise Island Bridge sometime, walk over, run a bit. And I think in doing so, particularly those who want to do marathons, you then prepare yourself for any eventuality. Because when you're doing a marathon, it's 26 miles. And in most cases, you're crossing bridges, you're running into hills and valleys, and by training for these things, then you can, successfully complete a marathon.
Now, we were out here for at least 10 to 15 minutes before we got on air. And what I noticed standing here is a number of persons, they just came out of their car and they got into it. Is that a good thing to do or is that a bad thing to do? And what about stretching and recovery after your workout?
Stretching is key. I think most people you see suffer injuries simply because they do not prepare their body to walk and or run. So you should get into really light stretches. The stretches should not be deep. If you're going to squat, don't go too deep, go shallow. Stretch your hamstrings a little bit. You don't have to put too much pressure on them. And relax your body, and then that's probably 5-10 minutes of stretching is great. Then get into a walk, and then gradually get into a jog. And you find that your performance and your distances will be much better, okay? And of course, when you finish, you basically go through another form of stretching to relax your body, reduce your heart rate, and that helps with the recovery. And in most cases, if you do it right, you can then continue with your daily task without feeling so break up and, tired. All
right, thank you so much, Mr. Johnson Lloyd. I can tell you that I forgot to stretch yesterday after my 5-setter. And Mr. Johnson was here telling me about eating some peanut butter and banana. So when I get back to the studio, I hope you will have my peanut butter and banana on the side, at least at my desk, or a cup of coffee. So back to you in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Kelsey. We'll, of course, have your coffee here waiting nice and hot for you. Well, in other news, these bicycle officers certainly want to keep in shape. A group of them are now busy in key areas of the capital managing the crime situation. You may have seen them on the weekend in the downtown area of the capital, keeping law and order.
The course was a 7-day course. We had some challenges with one or two individuals that has no experience of riding a bicycle ever in their life. And today, those individuals have now proven themselves worthy. They have graduated with confidence, and they're able to effectively carry out the mandate of the Royal Bahamas Police Force from a bicycle patrolling perspective. The areas that they will be patrolling in will be downtown, Cable Beach, and Paradise Island. It says twofold. One, as well as enforcing the traffic laws, as well as tracking down horrific offenders. Like I said, policing don't change. Whether we do it from a bicycle patrol perspective, mobile patrol perspective, foot patrol perspective, the mandate still covers to carry out such duties.
Well, this morning, a special treat from the Salvation Army for you. For decades, the Salvation Army has been a place where people can tune into during hard economic times. Aside from being a charitable organization, the nonprofit also wanted to create a way for blind people to make some form of income. Salvation Army Workshop Manager Sydney Albury says that was the genesis of the mop factory that was commercialized in the late 1960s.
The whole concept of it was that there weren't much opportunities for persons after they left the school for the blind. So the Salvationists at the time saw the need for some sort of program that can basically get them gainfully employed, and that's how we came about existence. We have about seven workers, and they work, it can range about 4 days a week. It depends, it can even extend to a whole week. It depends on the volume of mops needed at any particular time.
Aubrey says the mops are sold by a number of wholesalers like Dalbina's agency, food stores, including Super Value, and a number of convenience stores. Now, Aubrey says Salvation Army mops can be found throughout the country.
Also, we have clients as well in the Family Islands, so you can find them in Abaco, Freeport, and as far south as Orange Creek in Cat Island. These mops are locally made here, and anytime you purchase Bahamian by Bahamian, you basically contribute in helping someone who has limited opportunities right now, especially someone who is with disabilities, to be gainfully employed. So we want persons to be mindful when you're in the food store. Make sure to look out for Salvation Army mops, knowing that you are contributing to society and somebody else having a job.
Well, we'll take another break at this time. On the other side, a quick look at your Monday morning sports.
When a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, it is extremely important to be prepared and know just what to do. Stay informed about the storm's path by listening to the radio or television for hurricane progress reports. Check emergency food and household supplies. Be sure you have extra batteries for flashlights and radios. Bring in outdoor items like lawn furniture and garden tools. Anchor objects that cannot be brought inside. Secure buildings by closing and boarding up windows. Remove outside antennas and satellite dishes. Turn refrigerators and freezers to the coldest settings, opening only when absolutely necessary and closing quickly. Purchase ice and store it in an ice chest. Keep drinking water in clean jugs and bottles. Clean your bathtub with bleach and fill it with water for washing and flushing, not for drinking, making sure to keep the bathroom door closed so that small children cannot access the filled tub. Do not go out to videotape or take photos of the storm. Take pictures from inside where it is safe and dry. There is no harm in being overly cautious where a hurricane is concerned. It is truly better to be safe than sorry. This public service announcement has been brought to you by the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas in conjunction with the National Emergency Management Agency.
Are getting involved in these issues because they don't have a means to express themselves. We could deal with so many issues of violence that are going on in our community if we just give our young people in particular an opportunity to say what's on their mind. One thing I say is that one way or another, our youth are going to make themselves heard.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your first look at sports. Sports now being sponsored by Sunshine Auto Sales. And yes, I'm wearing my glasses today because I still can't believe what I'm reading in the papers this morning. The Miami Dolphins won a game. The Hurricane Dorian Disaster Relief Softball Tournament closing out last night at the Blue Hills Field. Let's start with the men as the Commanders Security Truckers added some reinforcements, but still rode the arm of ace pitcher Thomas Davis, taking on the Eleuthera Select squad, who earlier in the day eliminated Grand Bahama to reach the championship game. The Truckers just too loaded for the Eleuthera All-Stars as they blanked them by the final score, 8-0, to win the championship there. We swing now to the ladies and the teens being allowed to mix up players with the All-Star format. The Sunshine Auto Wildcats, fresh off the New Providence Softball Association title, took down the Abaco Select squad 9-6. LaShawna Bethel 1 for 3, scored a run. Taylor Johnson, the winning pitcher, 1 for 2, scored 2 runs. In the loss, Belinda Bastia 1 for 4 with an RBI. Keisha Pratt 1 for 4, scored 2 runs. And Latoya Brown was 1 for 4 with a run scored.
It was a great victory. We played a great tournament. You know, we just stood out and had fun, and we just played the best of our ability. Even though we were down in the beginning, but we still had fun. We kept our head in the game, and we still did what we had to do. It was really competitive, the pool we were in, and the championship game, it was a little more competitive considering that we had just played them in championship. But we did the best we could do.
Buddy Hield with one of his best games so far on the season. 8 for 16 from the field, 5 for 11 from behind the three-point arc. Sacramento led by 9 after 1 quarter, and then opened the second quarter with an 11-zip run to build a 43-23 lead. A 61-41 halftime lead led quickly was expanded to 76-44. Sacramento led by as many as 32 at one point. Buddy finishing with 22 points in 30 minutes of play. The Kings win 113-92. Their win over the New York Knicks was their second straight of the season after losing 5 straight to start the season on a good start to a 3-game road trip.
We thank God for, just, granting us this win, but tough team, Toronto team on Wednesday. Should be fun, but, we got to keep growing, and that's the next big test for us, so, and City got to win on that too. I mean, we win a half and then lose a half by like 20 points, 15 points, so we'll be up by 7 going into half. Just staying consistent and maintaining the league and just going in there and just playing Kings basketball and playing at our pace we need to play. You just stay 2 games, just stay humble, keep working. Watch a lot of film, still get better, a lot of things to get proof on. We're not the team where we want to be at, but we take 2 and 5 rather than 0 and 7, you know what I mean? So.
And that's going to do it for your Monday morning look at sports. But don't forget, coming up at 9 o'clock this morning on 1540 AM, 104.5 FM, it's the OT with yours truly. It's a call-in show this morning. We're going to talk about everything that's relevant to sports, not only the 242, but check on some of our international athletes. And don't forget today as well, it's the final day of voting for the IAAF Male Athlete of the Year, Stephen Gardner, in the running. After today, they will be cut down to 5. So go on to IAAF.org and cast your votes for Stephen Gardner. The voting closes later on this evening.
Hey, long time no see. You hear me?
Long time. No see.
Boiled fish, stew conch. I love it all.
Tourists come here to take our tours, experience our sun, sand, and sea, and they also spend money around town.
I used to see a bunch of hogfish around here, but nowadays, I hardly see any. You protect one area, the fish do their thing, make a bunch of babies that spread all over the sea. What's the problem?
If we protect certain parts of our sea, it keeps all parts working right.
I was against that phase, but knowing what I know now, I totally agree with having marine protected areas.
I support marine protected areas.
We support marine protected areas.
Look for Bahamas Protected on Facebook.
Sign the petition. Sign the petition.
When a hurricane strikes, there are many critical needs to survival. Water is one of them. Access to clean water to drink, bathe, and wash things is often hard to come by, particularly in remote areas. While it's tempting to use whatever water is available, there are a few things that you should do to make sure that your drinking water is safe to consume or use. Boiling your water is one of them. Boiling water kills most pathogens that can be harmful. If your water is cloudy, filter it through a clean cloth or portable filter. You should boil filtered water for 1 minute, cool, and then store in a clean container with a lid. If boiling your water is not an option, you can disinfect it with bleach. Use 1/8 teaspoon or 8 drops per gallon, then let it stand for 30 minutes. Remember, this water should be stored in a clean container with a lid. Ensuring the highest level of food, animal, and plant safety in the Bahamas. This message is brought to you by the Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Authority and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
In our final look at weather, we're now 26 days away from the close of the 2019 tropical cyclone season, and the tropics remain quiet this morning. But we do have a stalled out front boundary across the extreme northwest Bahamas, and that will fire up some showers and thunderstorms in that part of the area today, slowly sinking towards the south and east. And our forecast for today calls for partial sunshine with showers and thunderstorms in spots, particularly in the afternoon. The high temperature today is expected to get up to about 86 degrees. And then tonight, we're looking at tonight. Warm with increasing clouds, temperature around 76 degrees for your low. Your extended weather forecast over the next 7 days. A few showers as a result of that frontal boundary being in the area right into Wednesday, but things should pan out quite nicely on Thursday with lots of sunshine, and that will carry us right into Friday. But come Saturday, another system walks into the area, and that will bring in some showers on Saturday with cloudy condition hanging over into Sunday.
Thank you, Basil. A beautiful shot there. And of course, it's a great way to end our morning edition. That has been your Morning Joe right here on the Morning Edition at ZNS. We hope you'll stay tuned for our next morning edition tomorrow morning, starting promptly at 6:30. See you then.